The truce in the Middle East war is holding, and the next 48 hours hold hope for the exchange of more hostages for detainees. But Mediator Qatar says that that's dependent on Hamas. It says that its focus is to extend the truce between Israel and Hamas beyond the next 2 days, which is already an extension of the original 4-day truce. Qatari officials say that the country is working with relevant parties to see the truce extended, adding that it cannot validate the number of remaining hostages. It says that any extension would be based on Hamas' ability to release 10 hostages per day. Hamas says that the conditions of this extension will be the same as the original 4-day deal. Israel has added 50 female Palestinian prisoners to its list of potential releases. Now, Israeli Army radio also saying that the government received a list of captives to be released later today. Hamas says that it's now drawing up lists of additional hostages to be freed. Reports say that the process is complicated by the fact that some of them are held by other militant groups. 11 Israeli hostages were the latest to be released. 8 were children, an 18-year-old and 2 mothers. So far, Qatar says that a total of 69 hostages, including non-Israelis, have been released. The Thai foreign minister, meantime, will be travelling to Israel to bring a group of released hostages home. Now, 33 Palestinian prisoners were freed just yesterday in exchange. Now, with that, both Israel and Hamas have fulfilled their ends of the bargain in the initial truce. Meantime, the World Health Organization has warned of an increasing risk of more people dying from diseases in Gaza if the health system isn't fixed. The UN says that several tons of aid have managed to reach northern Gaza. This includes ready-to-eat meals, drinking water, tents and blankets, as well as medicines.
I strongly hope that this will enable us to increase even more the humanitarian aid to the people in Gaza that is suffering so much, knowing that even with that additional amount of time, it will be impossible to satisfy all the dramatic needs of the population in Gaza.
But emotions remain mixed among residents in the besieged enclave. The UNICEF spokesperson describing the desperate situation on the ground, quote, as if sorrow and sadness have taken root here in Gaza.
أنا بطالب بتمديد التهدئة ووقف لإطلاق النار لأنه الشعب انتهى بمعنى الكلمة. الشعب معاناته سيئة مع أساسيات الحياة، مع مقومات الحياة انتهت. إيش ضل له؟ إيش ضل؟ أنا بدي أعرف إيش ضل؟ ضل تقضي على نص الدير اللي ضايل وبعدين خلص انتهى الأمر.
Despite mounting pressure to extend the truce even further, Israel has vowed to return in full force to eliminate Hamas once the pause ends. And for more, Sarah Coates joins us. She's live from Tel Aviv. Sarah, there is talk of a further extension to this truce. What's the likelihood of that happening?
Hello there, Dawn. Well, look, we can report at this hour that the head of the CIA, Bill Burns, is meeting with the Mossad chief and also the Qatari Prime Minister in Doha to actually speak about doing just this. Now, we do know that Qatar has been at the forefront of all of these negotiations, getting more hostages out, getting more aid into the Gaza Strip. And this is what we are also expecting from the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, when he arrives here on the ground in Israel on Thursday. He says, according to the State Department, that he'll be pushing for more hostages to be released, also for an extension of this ceasefire. And look, just in the last few hours, the Israelis did confirm that they do now have a list of 10 extra people who are expected to be released from Hamas's captivity. A little later tonight, Israel says it is reviewing that list and has also handed over a list of 50 Palestinian prisoners that it is willing to release from Israeli jails. So, look, we can expect this next hostage swap to happen just in the next few hours. But we have heard some worrying news, and this is about the hostages that do remain inside the Gaza Strip. We know that there are at least 180 of them still being held by different Palestinian factions in the Strip, including the youngest hostage. He is just 10 months old. His name is Kafir Bibas. And according to the Israeli Defense Forces, they say that Hamas has now handed this little baby over to another Palestinian faction. They do not know exactly which one that is, and it is believed that this child is now missing, being held by some unknown faction in the Strip, potentially down in the south in Khan Yunis. So look, this is certainly very worrying, of course, for his family and also the other families who are here in Israel who have no idea on the welfare or the whereabouts of their loved ones.
An extremely tense and worrying time for those families who are waiting for news, Sarah. But meantime, in those hospitals in northern Gaza that is still functioning, doctors there are appealing for more fuel supplies. Has the increased entry of aid convoys eased the situation in the north at all?
Well, look, Dawn, as we've been speaking about for these past weeks, the amount of aid that's been getting into the Strip is really a drop in the ocean. This is what aid groups say. On a good day, there are around 200 trucks that are going through that Rafah border crossing into the Gaza Strip. Although before all of this began, before this blockade was put on the Gaza Strip, there were at least 500 trucks going into the Strip on a daily basis. So this is certainly less than half. And aid groups say they desperately need more. Now, pictures are coming in of people trying to run at these water trucks that are going into the enclave, simply trying to get some drinking water for their families. And we do know now that there are 1.7 million people that have been displaced internally from their homes. This is according to the United Nations. And according to that group, there are horrific conditions down in the south. Winter is now beginning to set in, and a lot of these people have been seen walking around trying to find something warm, like a blanket, to stay warm and dry as the winter storms begin to come in. Now, with regards to these hospitals, we do understand that there are no hospitals in the northern part of the Gaza Strip that are operational. And some doctors are reporting horrific incidents like we've spoken about before, having to use vinegar as antiseptic. And they're also saying that some patients are presenting with open wounds with worms in those. So look, this is absolutely horrific, and this is something that aid groups are calling for. They say they need more aid and they need it quickly.
It's hard to hear those details. Sarah, thank you very much for that update. Sarah Coates there live for us in Tel Aviv.